The Last of Us Episode 9, season finale. Alright, so basically they played it straight. They played it as straight down the center with a couple little additions, one fairly large addition, which I'll get to. Overall, this is exactly the ending of the game, which I think was the right decision. They didn't add anything that I noticed that foreshadows anything, right? Other than, the ending itself is enough of that, really. So what is different, though? At the beginning of the episode, they end up going back in time and they show Ellie's mother. And the really excellent part of this is they have the original Ellie from the game, the voice, playing Ellie's mother in the show. And she sounds just pretty much, you can tell it's Ellie from the game much more clearly than Joel in the previous episode, Troy Baker in the previous episode. And she even kind of looks like Bella Ramsey. So they look related-ish. And then it sounds like the mother sounds like Ellie. And then we have the show Ellie. And I loved that. I loved that choice. I loved how they pulled that all together. Very smart. That might be my favorite thing in this whole season, period. The way that worked. That just the choice to add that. And it also sells a little bit better than the game how tough a choice Marlene has at the end of the episode, basically, which works as a really interesting contrast to Joel's choice at the end. The one other little thing that might be different, I'm not totally sure, but in my memory it is different. And I did just recently finish the game this time, and I believe last time too. The one thing I wasn't sure about was whether or not Joel knew if Ellie knew what she was getting herself into or not. And they made it clear, in the show definitely they made it clear that Ellie didn't realize that she wasn't going to survive the surgery. At least I believe there was a quick line from Marlene saying she doesn't know. She went into this without fear. I don't remember that being in the game. Maybe it's there, but it doesn't make that big of a difference. But it was a question in my brain playing the game, even just the other day when I finished it again. I know there was always some controversy around the ending of the game. It never really bothered me, at least not until the second game. And still, it doesn't bother me. It's just a choice in this case. And it's a smart choice. And really, it's the whole point of the story is the fact that Joel's going to make this particular choice. There's two choices. One is to, quote unquote, save Ellie. In this case, they make it clear that he's knowingly saving her. Well, they don't make it clear, I guess. But we know from the earlier conversations, which there was a little bit added, I think, in those earlier. I don't remember Joel and Ellie talking about Joel actually tried to kill himself but missed, and it wasn't someone else that missed him being a thing. Maybe that is there. Over the course of those conversations, you could pretty reasonably surmise, and this is in the game too, that Ellie would have chosen to do it because this all has to be for something, right? Everything she's done has to be for something. And Joel knows her well enough at this point to know that. If you're willing to buy that, which I think it's there, you should probably buy it. I think it's there. Then Joel knowingly is saving her from something that she would have chosen to do, even with full knowledge of what it was. In the second game, that gets clarified, I think. In this first story, it's not quite as on the nose clear, but it's there. And it's interesting. That's a difference between the first and second game, is there's a little more subtlety in the first game than the second game. And that's what I continue to hope they sort of reintroduce in the second game. I don't know if they can, though, because the nature of that story isn't subtle at all. We'll see. The real choice is he chooses to quote-unquote save her, and then he chooses to lie to her. And the question is why, and I think from a storytelling perspective, it's simply because he's become, in his mind, her father or a parent, and he's lying to her for her own good, because he knows it would upset her at minimum, and probably just tear her apart internally if he told her the truth. So he's protecting her from that. He was protecting her from getting killed in the surgery. He's protecting her from giving her even the choice to sacrifice herself, which is the big mistake, right, that he's making, because that's her call. Obviously, we're going to take this decision into the second season and beyond, and we'll see how that goes. But so I really loved this episode, especially seeing Ellie's mother and the way they did that. And overall, this season has been great, and it makes me very much look forward to the rest of the story. Even if they adapt it one for one, I'm going to enjoy seeing people react to it, seeing some people get upset by it, and some people love it. I'm interested in it in just a technical sense, but I do get emotionally involved even when I don't like something, so it's still going to be impactful. I mean, maybe even especially when I would have made a different choice. I don't honestly know how I would change what's coming, but I don't want to talk. I mean, I have some ideas, but I don't want to talk about that right now until it's actually out there, in case somebody doesn't know that story somehow yet. So I think I will continue to cover this once there's another season. It's for my own, my own brain at this point, just to get it out, help me think it out loud. I'm thinking through this out loud. I'm not pre-writing any of this, which is probably obvious. Anyway, in terms of Last of Us videos, until next season, there'll be another video here of some of the other stuff I do if you're interested. If not, very well, that's cool. And like and subscribe if you're so inclined. Thanks for taking this to the end with me. Have a great one. Bye.